World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, engulfed the globe from 1939 to 1945. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle for global dominance, and a struggle for survival. The war left an indelible mark on the world, reshaping political boundaries, transforming social structures, and leaving behind a legacy of both devastation and hope. From the beaches of Normandy to the jungles of the Pacific, millions fought and died in a conflict that touched every corner of the globe. The war saw the rise of totalitarian regimes, the horrors of genocide, and the dawn of the atomic age. Its echoes continue to reverberate today, reminding us of the fragility of peace and the importance of international cooperation. The seeds of World War II were sown in the ashes of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, imposed harsh penalties on Germany, fueling resentment and instability. The global economic depression of the 1930s further exacerbated tensions, creating fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and his Nazi Party rose to power, promising national rejuvenation through aggression and racial purity. The rise of fascism in Europe was a key factor leading to World War II. Fascism, with its emphasis on nationalism, militarism, and authoritarianism, found fertile ground in countries grappling with economic hardship and political turmoil. In Italy, Benito Mussolini and his fascist party came to power in 1922, promising to restore Italy to its former glory. Mussolini's expansionist ambitions in Africa and the Balkans raised alarms among European powers. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party exploited economic grievances and nationalistic sentiment to gain power in 1933. Hitler's ideology, based on racial superiority and territorial expansion, posed a direct threat to the existing European order. The failure of the League of Nations, the international organization formed after World War I to prevent future conflicts, to effectively address the growing threat of fascist aggression, further emboldened Hitler and Mussolini. The League's weakness and indecision in the face of Japanese aggression in Manchuria in 1931 and the Italian invasion of Ethiopia in 1935 signaled that the international community was unwilling or unable to confront the growing threat to peace. On September 1, 1939, the world watched in horror as German forces stormed across the Polish border, marking the beginning of World War II. Hitler's Blitzkrieg, a lightning war strategy that combined rapid armored advances with overwhelming air power, quickly overwhelmed the Polish defenses. 2 days later, Great Britain and France, honoring their treaty obligations to Poland, declared war on Germany. However, their response was initially cautious, hoping to contain the conflict to Eastern Europe. This period, known as the Phony War, was marked by a lack of major military operations on the Western Front. In the spring of 1940, Germany unleashed its Blitzkrieg westward, conquering Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg in rapid succession. The speed and ferocity of the German advance stunned the world and shattered the illusion of Allied preparedness. The fall of France in June 1940 was a turning point in the war. The German victory was swift and decisive, forcing the British to evacuate their troops from the beaches of Dunkirk. France was divided, with the northern part occupied by Germany and the southern part governed by a collaborationist regime headquartered in Vichy. The Battle of Britain, fought in the skies over England in the summer and fall of 1940, marked the first major setback for the German war machine. The Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, launched relentless bombing raids on British cities and airfields, aiming to cripple British morale and pave the way for a German invasion. However, the Royal Air Force, aided by a sophisticated radar system and the determination of its pilots, fought back with courage and tenacity. The Battle of Britain, a pivotal moment in the war, demonstrated that Germany was not invincible and that the tide could be turned. In June 1941, Hitler broke the non-aggression pact he had signed with Stalin in 1939 and launched a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa, the largest military operation in history, aimed to conquer the Soviet Union and secure its vast resources for the German war effort. The German invasion initially caught the Soviet Union off guard and achieved significant early gains. However, the Soviet people, led by the determined Joseph Stalin, mounted a fierce resistance. The harsh Russian winter, combined with logistical challenges and stiffening Soviet defenses, slowed the German advance. Section 5. The Eastern Front. A clash of titans. The Eastern Front, stretching from the Arctic Circle to the Black Sea, became the site of some of the most brutal and decisive battles of World War II. The conflict between Germany and the Soviet Union was a clash of ideologies, a struggle for survival, and a war of annihilation. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought from August 1942 to February 1943, was a turning point in the war. The battle, a brutal struggle for control of the strategically important city of Stalingrad, became a symbol of Soviet resistance and German determination. The Soviet victory at Stalingrad, achieved at a staggering cost in human life, marked the beginning of the end for the German advance in the East. The Eastern Front was also the site of unspeakable atrocities. The Nazi regime, driven by its ideology of racial superiority, implemented a systematic campaign of genocide against Jews, Roma, and other groups deemed undesirable. The Holocaust, a horrific chapter in human history, resulted in the murder of 6 million Jews. Section 6. D-Day and the Liberation of Europe. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces launched Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in history, landing on the beaches of Normandy, France. D-Day, as it became known, marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi occupation. The invasion, meticulously planned and executed, involved troops from the United States, Great Britain, Canada, and other Allied nations. Despite heavy casualties, the Allies established a foothold on the continent and began the arduous task of pushing back the German forces. The liberation of Paris in August 1944 was a joyous occasion for the French people and a symbolic victory for the Allies. As the Allied armies advanced eastward, they encountered fierce German resistance but steadily liberated occupied territories. Section 7. The Pacific Theater. From Pearl Harbor to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Pacific theater of World War II was characterized by vast distances, challenging terrain, and brutal island-hopping campaigns. The conflict in the Pacific pitted the United States, supported by its allies, against Japan, a formidable military power driven by imperial ambitions. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, on December 7, 1941, brought the United States into World War II. The surprise attack, which killed over 2,400 Americans and sank or damaged numerous U.S. Navy battleships, galvanized American public opinion and unified the nation behind the war effort. The Battle of Midway, fought in June 1942, was a decisive naval battle that turned the tide in the Pacific War. The U.S. Navy, aided by code-breaking intelligence, inflicted a crushing defeat on the Japanese fleet, sinking 4 Japanese aircraft carriers and killing over 3,000 Japanese sailors. As the war progressed, the United States, under the leadership of General Douglas MacArthur and Admiral Chester Nimitz, began a series of island-hopping campaigns, capturing strategically important islands from Japanese forces. Section 8. A World Remade. The Aftermath of World War II. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, finally came to an end in 1945. The war left an estimated 70 to 85 million people dead, devastated entire cities, and reshaped the political landscape of the world. In the aftermath of the war, Germany and Japan were occupied by the victorious Allied powers. The Allied nations held war crimes trials in Nuremberg, Germany, and Tokyo, Japan, to hold Nazi and Japanese leaders accountable for their actions during the war. The Nuremberg trials in particular established the principle that individuals could be held responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The United Nations, UN, a new international organization dedicated to maintaining peace and promoting international cooperation, was established in 1945. The UN, headquartered in New York City, replaced the ineffective League of Nations and aimed to prevent future global conflicts. The post-war years also saw the emergence of a new global order, characterized by the rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Cold War, as it became known, was a period of intense ideological competition, proxy wars, and the constant threat of nuclear annihilation. Section 9. Conclusion. The Enduring Legacy of World War II. World War II was a watershed moment in human history, a conflict that reshaped the world and left an enduring legacy. The war's impact can be seen in the political, social, and technological changes that occurred in its aftermath. The war led to the decline of European colonialism and the rise of new superpowers, particularly the United States and the Soviet Union. It also witnessed the horrors of genocide and the development of nuclear weapons, forever altering our understanding of human capacity for both good and evil. The lessons of World War II, particularly the importance of international cooperation, diplomacy, and the defense of freedom, remain as relevant today as they were in the 20th century. As we face new challenges in the 21st century, it is essential to remember the sacrifices made by those who fought for freedom and to work towards a more peaceful and just world.